like to call to order the Public Works, Finance, and Safety Committee meeting of Monday, August 6, 2018. And the first item on the agenda is approval of the consent agenda. Is there a motion and second for approval?
So moved.
Have a motion by Solom and a second by Manti. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion carries. Item number 2 is public input. This is a time for anyone to come forward if they want to talk about something not on the agenda.
David?
No takers.
Got
Okay.
anything going?
Tell us when you're retiring.
Item number 3, approval of the agenda. Is there a motion and second?
So moved.
Moved by Vilhauer, second by Y. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion carries. Item number 4 is consideration of change order number 3 with Dunnick, Inc. for the 2018 sanitary sewer replacements project number 1808 for an increase of $9,670. And I'll let Colin tell us what this is about.
Yes. You've previously seen 2 change orders for this project. This one, we ran into a couple more issues, I guess I'll call them. One, we ran into an 8-inch service that we believed to be a 6-inch. And that 8-inch did not run into a manhole, so we had to have a special connection there. And they had to run up to Fargo to get that, and that's where this cost is coming from. And then this is one of the other change orders was putting 12 inches of base course in. This one, instead of putting the full 12 inches of base course, we're going to put 6 inches of millings in, provided by the street department. We had a lot of extra millings this year. So they're still going to haul and weigh each load and then place those millings, and that's where this total cost comes into. And then we'll put 6 inches of base course on top of that. It'll be a better product probably in the end.
Okay. So where exactly is this change occurring?
This will be on 6th Street, and I have it on my computer, right by Tokyo Grill. So it'll be from 212 to 6th Avenue, southeast. I don't know if you want it up there, but it'll be for this section of roadway.
Okay, and the service that was an 8-inch.
That was actually on 4th Street over here by McDonald's. And it feeds the Drake, and it was recently done. Previously, the Drakes went into 212, their service did, and just recently they changed it and came back to the intersection over here to 7th and 4th.
By recently, last 5 years?
Yes.
Okay. So the change order is for 2 different locations. The material is 6th Street, and the pipe fitting was for 4th Street.
Correct.
Okay. Are there any questions? Had we known this was going to be an 8-inch tap, I know that would have been bid out, and it would have been more expensive because that's a really unusual fitting. Most of the time, an 8-inch pipe won't connect into another pipe. It'll go right into a manhole. So they don't make that many fittings for that size of service. We would have gotten a bid price on it. Same with the material. If we'd have known we were going to have to haul out the material, we would have bid it out. We would have been paying for this anyway. So it's not like totally unknown. I mean, we didn't know we were going to hit the issues that we did, but we would have paid for them if we had known.
So is it going from an 8-inch to a 6-inch, or are we staying at an 8-inch?
No. It's an 8-inch pipe, and it goes into a 12-inch main. An 8-inch service is unusual, so they didn't have any fittings on hand. It's still going to be an 8-inch, but they had to special order the fitting to connect it back in where it was. So just an unusual thing. So I'll look for a motion to recommend approval of this change order. Moved by Albertson. Second by Danforth. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion carries. Item number 5 is old business. Is there any? Is there any new business? None. Okay. Item number 7 is executive.
Could I add a question under new business?
Sure. New business.
Yep. We have our joint jurisdiction agreement in place with the county for the surrounding areas. I think it's a 2-mile area, I believe, outside of city limits. 1 or 2 miles, I can't remember what it is.
3.
Within that area, there are county properties that abut the city or are within those areas, that joint jurisdictional area, that would not in any way even come close to meeting our city standards for cleanliness, organization, those types of things. And there are some people in the city that live abutting to the county that have concerns with some of that. And I know there are some even within the county. I had a call today from somebody within the county that's concerned with that. Would there ever be an opportunity for us to take a look at that joint jurisdictional agreement and see about putting some residential standards into that area that would, it may not comply in total to the county, but it would be closer maybe to the city?
I don't know why we couldn't. I think we can do whatever we want. Am I right?
As long as the county would want to work with us. But
yes,
I think
it's joint areas, so we both have to agree to it.
I think there is a need for that. They have the same types of zoning designations as we do. They get residential and ag, and they got commercial and industrial. And it seems to me the biggest problem has a tendency to be when we're abutting residential areas, and there's just different standards there. And I don't know if one's more enforceable than the other or what the issue is, but there are issues that come to play where those areas in the county just are unacceptable. I hate to use that word, but it really is, to either abutting neighbors within the county or neighbors that would be city residents. So I think we should see if we can take a look at coming up with some kind of standard within and place it within the joint jurisdictional agreement. Would be nice if we could.
Sure.
At least consider it anyway.
Sure, we can do that, no problem. I'm not sure how often they meet or if it's only as needed. If the city wanted to propose a change, I guess we would take it through our system to make it considered by the county, and I'm sure they would be happy to consider it. They may not agree with it, but they'd consider it.
Right.
Dan?
I was on that committee initially when we were on that, and one of that very thing came up, Mike, just exactly. And the problem seemed to be not the butting up against city property, but it was the county in general. And if they made, a point, whatever that resolution or whatever it happens to be, then it would have to be taken in the entire county, and they thought that was going to be, as I recall, very difficult to deal with, because it'd be county-wise if you said you can't have whatever the restrictions might be.
But we could write it to say that this only applies in the joint jurisdiction area, and they would probably want to say, as a county, I'm just putting my county hat on. If I were a county, I'd say, okay, you want city standards, you agree to take on the burden of enforcement in that area.
Yeah, I think it was the enforcement that was
Because
the
it is
issue.
the enforcement. They aren't set up to
Yeah.
do the type of services that we provide in the city limits. They don't have the staff we have. They don't have the resources. So if we would take on the responsibility, they would probably be happy to allow the change in regulation. And it would be defined by where you are.
Right. I would agree with that. That joint jurisdictional area may be subject to different standards anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think it would be good to at least have the discussion to see what the issues are, what makes sense. And if we get somewhere, it's great. If we don't, then we're no different than we are today. So,
Yeah, well, look into that. Thank you. Is there any other new business?
While we're looking into that, could we look into policing our own city streets and standards for our housing?
Yes, we certainly can.
Well, I mean, just it's kind of the same situation where you've got some neighborhoods that abut other neighborhoods, and everybody does the best they can, and then there's some property owners that don't care. So it would be something to piggyback on that as you're looking at it.
We can do that in the city limits,
Mhm.
and we should be following up on complaints because we do have staff that are paid to look into code enforcement issues. So if there's a violation of code, we already have a set procedure for dealing with that, and we can follow up on that. So it's just a matter of someone needs to perhaps lodge a complaint so we're aware of it. Yeah. Yes, Brent Mormon is our code
Brent
enforcement
does a
officer.
really nice job with that too. He goes right to the issue right now. I've had a couple of people call in and they didn't want to call him. I don't know why they didn't. I just said, well, but I've called him and he's gone to the issue. So just a matter of letting him know.
Brent Mormon. He's in the building services department. Any other new business? Glenn?
As long as we're on that topic, does that also include then looking into houses or housing that is virtually uninhabitable, but yet still being rented out? I know, Beth, you and I had that conversation this last week, and I brought an example to your
Yes.
attention.
We-
Where do we stand on a situation like that?
Well, we have a process for that. If someone thinks that a house is uninhabitable or should be condemned, then that gets reported. The building official has to take that very seriously, and that's not ever done lightly. There are very specific criteria that have to be met before a structure can be condemned. If it meets those legal requirements, it will be condemned by the building official. But that's a last resort. If it's possible to bring it into compliance, that's the first choice, you go through the steps. You notify the owner of the deficiencies and ask them to comply by a certain date, follow up, and that's, I do remember, I don't know what the status of that one is, but I'm sure the building services department knows what the status is and they could let you know. But you can't just go out and condemn a place that looks like a dump. You have to make sure truly does meet the legal requirements. That's pretty serious business.
But they do have an opportunity. But the procedure would be to identify those. If they could be fixed, give them amount of time to fix them, then go back.
Right.
And so if they don't fix it, then they would have to go another direction.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. So, and people are often emotional when they report that a dump should be torn down because it's uninhabitable, and we often find out it's a matter of maintenance. It's not a matter that it's uninhabitable. But, sometimes absent landlords or whatever, that's where it's ripe. So, other new business? All right, seeing none, there is no need to go into executive session pursuant to SDCL 1-25-2, and so I'll look for a motion to adjourn. Moved by Danforth. Second by Y. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed signify by saying nay. We are adjourned.